Hey, what's going on? So I've been doing videos lately and kind of wanted to do this one for a long time. It's a very hot, controversial, heavily debated topic in the paranormal research, I guess, society. Um, we've all been victim to it at some time or another. Hopefully it's only when you're new. But what I'm talking about is orbs. Not a big fan of them for the most part. And again, I know I repeat myself in all my videos saying I'm opinionated, which I am. But do I think orbs exist? Yeah, it's very likely. In fact, I believe we've captured one bona fide, I wouldn't even call it an orb, I'd call it like just energy imprint. Moving energy imprint, I guess. I don't know, for lack of a better I guess, description. These are a pet peeve of mine, though, because the fact of the matter is, most of the time what people claim as orbs are dust, insects, little gnats, which have a telltale flight pattern for the most part. Dust, it just goes the way of the wind. Skin flakes, water moisture. Let's look at it this way, and I forget the scientific principle. Is it Occam's razor, maybe? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. My dog's over there. Hopefully he doesn't get in the way of the video. But the most likely explanation is normally the true one. That's paraphrasing my thoughts, not any scientific principle. But when you're at these places, is it an orb from some dead spirit like the carekeeper Uncle Jebediah? Or is it dust or something like that? Because let's be honest, most of these places we investigate are not exactly five-star hotels as far as the actual fit and finish of the interior or how nice it is. Most of these are places that were abandoned at some time and somebody bought and haven't really brought them up to date, maybe even to safety code. But most of these places we investigate, not all, have a lot of just old stuff in them, and they're unclean. They're not clean, and there's dust flying all over the place. There's a place we investigate that we like to sometimes, and there's been times where we've been there and we've had our DVR system set up, and somebody that was associated with the place would be like, oh, did you see that orb? And I forget what my words were to them, but I was very polite, and I was like, oh, I think that's just dust, And so I keep my audio recorder recording most of the time when I'm at a location, because we capture a lot of EVPs, like when our audio recorder is just kept on and we're not doing an audio like EVP session, and we'll capture them then, either when we're by the recorder or when we're not. That's something I touched on in other videos, but that's something I would really suggest. And yes, you do have to review more audio, but at the same time, you will collect more EVPs. So, but we kept it running, and we went outside for a little while, and while we were outside, the people there were like, I know what I saw. I saw an orb. And it's like, there comes a time where an investigator has to become more intellectually scrutinizing of their practices, I suppose. Excuse me. When you're new, I can kind of get it, but, and let's be honest too, it sucks driving 6 hours to a place, staying up overnight, exhausting yourself, and I firmly believe doing these investigations is not good for your body. The very least of which is staying up overnight. Sleep deprivation is very bad for your body. Every once in a while it's not a big deal, but doing it a lot is even worse. But every once in a while it's not a big deal, it still affects your body. So it sucks driving like 6 to however many hours some people go. I'm sure there's groups that fly internationally, but it really sucks going to these locations, coming home empty-handed. And that's a big part, I think, of why a lot of investigators, I don't know if I should use the word a lot, let's just replace that with some. Some investigators will claim that they've captured an orb and it's paranormal. If you're calling it an orb and saying it's not paranormal, but it's just an orb, kind of like akin to a UFO, because a UFO just means unidentified flying object. It says nothing about it being an alien. It's just an unidentified flying object. Now, if you're calling it an orb to where that name orb can be an umbrella for dust and all that. I guess that's fine, but a lot of people use orb saying it's a spirit, and it's like, would this orb footage convince any skeptic? There's no way. And in fact, think of it this way. What would a light or video or infrared video experts say if they saw these videos of orbs? Most of them would probably give you a very quick answer saying, this is this, or it's not spiritual or paranormal, it's more than likely this, and they'll give you their reasons. Because let's be honest, how many people that do paranormal investigations are also experts in some type of scientific field that backs their findings? Maybe an expert in audio for EVPs, or an expert in video for paranormal video. Because let's also face it, paranormal video is extremely rare. We get EVPs anywhere from good Class A EVPs, I should say, anywhere from every investigation to every 4 investigations. Normally every 2 or 3 we get one good Class A. And there was a time during 2015 when we were just on fire getting EVPs. I mean, Class A legendary EVPs. And they're true EVPs. I'm very, very rigorous with what I consider an EVP, or a Class A for that matter. Going back to the Panasonic video I posted recently, a lot of people call Class A's when they're like Class C's or maybe B's. For me, we were on a streak though of getting great Class A's. But back to what I was saying though, it sucks driving 6 hours, staying up overnight. If you're hearing that noise, it's 4th of July today, so there's fireworks going on, and it's freaking my dog out yesterday and today, and he's peeing inside, but I love fireworks anyways. But back to track. Yeah, it sucks going that far and having nothing. At the very least, you gotta admit to yourself you had fun doing, because that's really why we should be doing this. It should be fun. If it's not fun, I hope you're at least somehow getting paid for it, because if it's not fun and you're not getting paid, and let's be honest, very few people get paid doing this, you might want to ask yourself why you're doing it. And again, that's your decision. I mean, I'm not going to hate on or try and talk you out of it, but we do this for fun. That's why I do it. I do it for fun and to explore the boundaries of consciousness and reality. So long-winded thought though, what I was saying though, it sucks going that far and coming home empty-handed. So a lot of investigators that claim these things are orbs are being intellectually dishonest with themselves and falling victim also to confirmation bias. And people will probably shoot me, but I'm going to quote Wikipedia. It's not the most scientific, but this definition holds very true in this case. So Wikipedia says confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs or hypothesis. It is a type of cognitive bias and a systematic error of inductive reasoning. So it's a bias. It's a true bias, where these people go to these places and they're expecting them to be paranormal. In my opinion, from what I've been doing, I've only been doing this for 4 years. I'm not some 30-year veteran, but true paranormal activity is very subtle and it's not long-lasting for the most time. Now, of course, there's exceptions to that. I'll be doing a video eventually here in the next week or so about what got me into the paranormal, which was some very intense stuff that happened to myself and 3 other people. So, but in general, paranormal activity is short-lived and it's subtle. Now, also keep in mind when we go to these places, we're there for, let's say we do a 12-hour investigation, then we go home. Now, if this is a residential place, which we don't do many of at all, these people live here for 365 days a year for the most part. And so they're there all the time. And so they experience it more often because they have a higher, sample rate, if you will. But, that's kind of everything I wanted to say. And I always want to be able to, maybe someday I'll be concise enough to do these videos in like 2 to 3, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but I have a feeling this is probably another 10-minute or 10-minute plus video. Most of what people claim as orbs is dust to a certain degree, or it's something that they can't explain, but not necessarily paranormal. Just because you can't explain it doesn't mean it's paranormal. The unexplained and the paranormal overlap, but just because something's unexplained does not mean it's paranormal. Now, if it's paranormal, I think it means it's unexplained, because we have all these theories on the paranormal, but there's no proof of what the paranormal truly is. I think I should probably rephrase that when I can collect my thoughts better and have something more, I guess, linguistically like tighter than that. But that's kind of, you know, the thing there is what I was trying to say. You know, even new homes have dust. I mean, so most of these places we go to, it's probably not an orb. Now, I would think an orb would be, if you want to see an orb, go to our, it's on my page, it's a Sedansville Rectory video where we captured something on our full spectrum camera, as they're called full spectrum. They're not the full spectrum, they're, you know, visible light, infrared, ultraviolet. And we captured something on there in the attic where we've had great activity before. Wish we could still investigate there, but it's no longer open for other drama reasons. And eventually I'll be doing a video on ego, which I do have some of, but at the same time I like to try and keep it in check. And I'm not always the best at that, but I've ran across investigators before that just full of ego, and it's frustrating. But anyways, we were up there, and I captured on my full spectrum video camera. It was about 6 feet away from me, and I saw it on my viewfinder, but I couldn't see it with my eyes. You know, and it was about 6 feet away from me, and it flew kind of like this, like that, in a loop. And then once it got right in front of this column, about, again, 6 feet away from me, it split into 3, like one on top, one on bottom, or middle, one on bottom. We were never able to figure out what that was. Wasn't a bug. We didn't see any bug, and I don't know how a bug would split into 3, unless if it was like somehow having bug childbirth during flight. But the thing that was most convincing to me about that was our camera captured something that the visible, the eye couldn't in the visible light spectrum, and that to me is unexplained paranormal video. I do believe it's probably paranormal. It's hard for me to label things paranormal other than EVPs, just because I am very skeptically minded. But that's my only paranormal video I can think of, legit paranormal video I can think of, that I've captured in 4 years. And I would call it an orb, I guess, but it was more like a traveling, what I was saying earlier, whatever that phrase was, a traveling energy imprint or something. But fascinating stuff. And you can watch the video and hear my reaction. I'm not a good actor, but you can hear the authenticity and genuine just emotion I display when I saw that live on the viewfinder, but not with my eyes. That and capturing Class A EVPs are why I investigate. They're one of the biggest reasons. Those are what keep me going when we've done 3 to 5 investigations with nothing or very inconsequential activity or documented, as we call it, evidence. So going back to orbs, just be heavily scrub them, I guess. Your video to make sure, is this something we really can't explain, or is it more than likely dust, things like that. I think some of us as investigators so badly want to document and experience the paranormal, which is great, so do I. When I capture a Class A, like, I get goosebumps all over my body just because it's like, what is this? Who is this? Do they have thoughts? I know there's the intelligent versus residual thing, but do the dead have emotions, or whatever we're communicating with? Do they experience emotions? Are they energy imprints? What is it? But so many people want to collect evidence so bad, which I totally get. But at the same time, we got to be honest, And I'm not saying honest in a purposely deceitful way. I'm saying like a subconsciously dishonest way, where deep down we don't really apply a set of standards to what we consider true paranormal video or orbs. More often than not, it's dust. And like I said, going back to the Sedansville thing, like things like that, you'll know are more authentic. Or if you have an orb that's, say, flying like straight up, pauses for a second and goes down, or does some weird flight characteristic, that to me is interesting. Or if it has like a different color, which I've never seen on video, which I'm guessing maybe it's there, a different color, it's a pretty telltale translucent color when it's the infrared light bouncing off of whatever it's reflecting, be it dust, skin dust, mite, water, moisture, things like that. Not saying that a true orb wouldn't be that color, but if it has that color, that's kind of your first indication of where you need to go deeper and probe if it's to a real orb, or as in a real paranormal unexplained orb, or if it's something more organic, which, like I said, most are. I think, I think I've covered my my thoughts on this. I've been meaning to do this video for a while. If anybody watches these whole things, man, you're awesome, because I don't know, in this ADD 30-second television commercial world we live in, not even 30 seconds, it's hard to keep your attention this long. So again, in a perfect world, these videos would have higher production quality, they'd be quicker, things like that. But I've been meaning to get this off my chest for a while, and I bump heads with so many people on the internet over this and in some paranormal groups, and I'm nice, but I'm also very firm, I guess, to the point where I'm surprised I haven't gotten kicked out almost. I never call names, none of that stuff, because that's not good debating, but there's a lot of people that post stuff and like, what do you think this is? And I'll just reply with one word, dust. And like then them and some other people will comment on like, no, that's not dust. And it's like, okay, you know. But anyways, there's my Italian sarcasm coming out there a little bit. You can see my facial expression. So again, thanks for watching. Sorry if I am opinionated, but at the same time, I think we as investigators need to adhere to a set of standards. And let's be honest, most orbs do not meet those. There's some out there. Like I said, if you're interested, check out the Samsville video on this YouTube page and on Gateway Paranormal Team's main YouTube page. Tons of videos there, so you'll have to sift through, or if there's a search bar, search for Samsville and that will pull it up. So yeah, thanks for watching. Happy 4th. Don't blow off any fingers if you're shooting fireworks. You know, having 5 fingers in both hands is a very handy thing. So take care.